in February, and that was probably when many of you heard about high network. Today, I'm going to talk about something on high level and then slow down. Sharing my personal thoughts about the crypto future and analyzing current industry trends and its challenges, what we should focus on next, and what ties us down in that regard. Talk about crypto's future, we have to talk about the future of the world. And with the AI breakthrough, it's really hard to dispute that our future will not be an AI-driven one. But while these all advancements in AI bring exciting news, they also create concerns in our society, not just in Web3, but commonly discussed. For example, the role of human labor. While AI speeds up producing so much, human labor becomes less relevant in the production process. And yet, human labor has been used as a metric to distribute societal wealth to majority of the people in society for centuries, ever since industrialization. If labor becomes irrelevant, what will be the metric the society use to distribute our societal wealth? Also, AI will probably create an unprecedented amount of wealth. How can this large amount of wealth be distributed in an equitable and accessible way? Ensure human well-being. These are questions that concerns every one of us. And these are the questions our generation needs to figure out very soon. And that's where I say blockchain comes in. For me, the intersection of the two technologies, AI and blockchain, goes beyond the typical topics about decentralized computing or decentralized data. These are also important questions that problems solve as well. But for me, the ultimate utility of blockchain is societal distribution and redistribution system. The unprecedented amount of AI production and value created will rely on scalable, accessible, and auditable way of distribution by blockchain. On the other hand, let's analyze what are the current trends of crypto. We have seen flourishing DeFi. We have seen so many innovations in DeFi infrastructure and designs. But the mechanism that is used to be exclusive to people with capital, people with money, or institutions. And people are tired of being left behind, of entering the bottom capture mechanism of the world in the last batch. They want to participate early, and they want to participate on fair terms. So that's what the flourishing DeFi really demonstrates, the public eagerness of participating in the world's value capture process. Does this sound like a familiar feat to the problem that AI proposed? No. The fact that the DeFi distribute value with beyond labor, the reliance on labor as a factor. And that is why I think blockchain is a scalable solution to deal with the performance AI created. However, there is a big problem currently in crypto. There is no value, no real value to be captured for most of them. There are some, but for most of them, that covers almost all geolocations and scalable enough to have already KYC and verify identity of 15 million users out of our overall engaged 16 million. So Pi blockchain on its mainnet is only having KYC people. And this makes it ready for any Web3 or financial related services to integrate on top of Pi. But I want to today focus more on the second half, creating new production on chain. The reason is because existing production moving on chain have a lot of challenges, including high dependency on external environment, regulation change, incumbents in traditional economy adopting Western technology. Not to mention that the existing production, if they already existed, the market capture mechanism already occurred off-chain, not through a transaction. So that's why I want to encourage and focus on the new productions directly on-chain. And for that, Pi has done a number of things. I will give first, Pi community has created a large social network of over 60 million engaged users. These are not the downloads or registrations, they are engaged users. If we're looking at downloads, it's a few hundred million from both of our articles. Why did we create such a social network? It serves multiple purposes for new production creation and real utility. If you're a real product person, you understand the need of users. You need to have real users to test and give you feedback when you're making a product. You need a user integration to tell you whether your product actually solves the problem of human need. And that is the environment we try to create for Pi, so that we create an environment suitable to give rise to potential new products that is independent of all the types. Also, we also have actually embraced the AI with the revolution. The reason for that is we know AI is going to change the world, and we know that the apps we're using today will be very different. A new batch of apps will replace the current one because of AI. They are either AI generated or AI powered. Since we know that there will be a new batch of AI applications created, why don't we make them created on chain? In my view, there is a very short historical window in which currently the AI infrastructure breakthrough make it possible to have AI applications. At the same time, the AI application layer is still in infancy. That gives us opportunity to get those AI applications directly created on chain. If we miss this window, the AI industry and the world will move on creating their own applications on chain. We have to do the same convincing job in the first pass, convincing them to move on chain. And creating a large social network is a resource collectively created by private community. And this is a resource that the world demands because every product, whether it's AI or non-AI, Web2 or Web3, they all want user retention and users. So we want to combine AI applications built on top of Pi, so that this layer of AI application actually from day one start on chain. And that also allows the DeFi to follow up from that, all this DeFi infrastructure actually is becoming those new productions. The second thing I did for AI initiative is we recently released an App Studio. The App Studio is actually a platform Pi released to enable non-technical people to be able to create apps, not just create talk about how can we turn product to business. We provide the access to of these apps directly in my social network. By doing so, we create this pipeline of facilitating using AI to help non-technical people own and run online businesses. And again, that's another model different from the typical labor business. That is also another model. Future human beings can rely on AI to produce value, and the value accrued by AI production is in the hands of humans instead of local creatures. Now back to the high level of our industry. As I mentioned, we need to have active value creation, and utility needs to really work out so that we can actually get there, so that all this advanced decentralized DeFi makes sense. But we actually have a huge challenge. To me, this challenge comes from the same superpowers of DeFi. What do I mean? The DeFi's powerfulness is actually creating an incentive that inhibits utility building and innovation. What I mean is, people in crypto have too early and too short access of large amount of wealth. And when you are presented of opportunities as a builder, whether you release a money, raise a amount of tokens, which raise a lot of money, versus do the hard work, do the development of a very complex product, may or may not actually be able to fundraise and get your product in the market and also succeed, what would you choose? You would choose the faster turnaround. You would choose to opt into the easy way. But value creation is always harder than value extraction. Value creation relies on product innovation. That takes time, that takes effort, that takes perseverance. And in our industry, the culture is always facilitating, incentivizing